the next lesson, which will be number 7. And this is a key one, almost like a conclusion to this with attitudes, which is the spirit of giving, right? So, what are the key things to highlight about this lesson?
Right. So we kind of started with the spirit of gratitude, and now we're kind of concluding these attitudes with the spirit of giving, and so we think in terms of it's that gratitude for what Jesus gives to us, through His grace, that gives us that ability to be able to be giving to others.
So, are there similarities between the two, man, of being grateful and no giving, and are there some things that are different?
Right. So, I think of the spirit of gratitude. That's kind of responding in kind. That Jesus leads in kindness, and then we respond in kind. Through our gratitude. When somebody gives to us, we want to give back in return to them. And that's one aspect. That gratitude, and it helps us to recognize that our nature is different than Jesus' nature. He has the ability to lead in kindness, whereas we follow in kind. It's because of His grace that given to us that we have the gratitude and are able to return that that kindness for kindness. But what Jesus is talking about, in the Sermon on the Mount, He talks about being able to be kind to those that hate you, to not only just return kindness for kindness, but able to actually lead in kindness, and that is what I see as kind of that maybe distinction between the spirit of gratitude and the spirit of giving. That the spirit of giving is actually able to transcend beyond justice, and to say, I can give to you, I can lead in kindness because of that gratitude, but because of the gratitude I have for Christ, it gives me the power to be able to generate love and to give love to others.
And that is what the world, man, is kind of seeing and searching for, to give love to others, especially if they didn't do something for you first, as you were saying, right about giving. It's interesting that there was this survey done by the Barna Group, which kind of has the conclusion that most Christians lack the love that Jesus has for others, right? Like, and it's interesting, they did it the same way you mentioned, where they gauge the attitudes and actions of Christians, and did a survey across that and see if it really fit what would Jesus do versus things that we say we would do but we actually don't, right? So and I think to have this attitude of giving, and all of these attitudes, really, like, is there like a conclusion you can kind of give to this part 1, where all of these attitudes, how do we spend more time to engage them and learn more about applying them, so that we're not in the statistics, which would be 51% of Christians that are not behaving with the right attitudes to others.
So you think, in terms of your attitude, it's easy to think in terms of attitudes as if I don't have the right attitude, and all of us have that. We have times we have better attitudes and times we don't. To recognize that, when my attitude isn't right, that attitude is a reflection of my spiritual state. It means something isn't right spiritually. And so when we recognize that, I have maybe a defensive attitude, or I have, an attitude where I'm just kind of grumpy or whatever, that to recognize that, and to recognize that there's something that I probably haven't surrendered to God in some way. I'm feeling some injustice, or I'm feeling something, instead of something that I'm holding on to instead of surrendering it to God. And so when we see that happen to us, and it happens to all of us, at times, is to recognize that my attitude isn't right, which means my spiritual state isn't right. And I need to take that, say a prayer, stop, stay at prayer and say, God, I surrender this to you. Please give me the right attitude with your Holy Spirit.
And I think you said it best by saying that our responsibility is to let go of our old nature and ask Him to change our attitude by the power of His Spirit.
Right. So He does the transforming, and then it's our responsibility to let go, to surrender, and to let go.
So attitudes is all it comes down to, right? Responding to all that we might have talked before in all the quarters. We have a new nature, and we have to develop through the help of the Spirit to having our responsibility also to have these attitudes inside of us.